Hi, welcome back to Behind the Lines. I'm Lynn Satternow, and this is my co-host, Bob Greenberg. Good to have you with us in this cold night. Big news locally, of course, is Oscar Tshiebwe from Kennedy being named to the McDonald's All-American team. And his teammate, Maceo was also nominated, but didn't quite make it. Still, it's a great thing, Bob. It's the first guy from Mercer County team ever to make the big game.
Actually, Oscar is only the second player ever from Western Pennsylvania to be named to the team. Danny Fortson down from Pittsburgh did it back a couple decades ago, and there's no question it's an incredible honor. When you think about it, there's over 500,000 high school basketball players in this country, and only 800 got nominated, and only 24 made the team. It's about as good an honor as you're ever going to get at that level.
Yeah, and you had a chance to talk to both those guys, Maceo and Oscar, recently.
On Saturday I went in before practice and chatted with both of them and had some great insight on not just the McDonald's honor and the nomination, but their season and some of their goals as they get ready for college as well.
Yeah, let's take a look at that interview.
All right, welcome to Behind the Lines with Maceo Austin and Oscar Tshiebwe of Kennedy Catholic. And guys, it's been a great start to your senior year. You had an incredible honor last week. 550,000 high school basketball players in this country. And Maceo, you were one of 800 to be nominated for the McDonald's All-American team. Just talk about that honor. Just to be in that list has got to be something that is got to be a big deal to you.
Oh, definitely. It's a blessing. I grew up watching that game all the time on TV and everything. So in order to have my name nominated for it was just, an honor.
Oscar, you're one of 24 players in this country to be picked for the team. Can you put into words how you felt when you saw your name being read off on ESPN this week?
Well, that was amazing. I was so excited, and for that being nominated by 24, you got selected. I was so excited for that. And first time I came to USA, I watched that game my freshman year, and I was like, I want to play that game. Everybody was like, but you cannot make it. That game is for the top 25 players, and especially a lot of people, the top basketball player from here. So I don't think you have a chance. A lot of people, my friend told me that. And I told them, I said, no, I'm gonna play one day. Every year I keep working. Every year I keep watching the game. And this year, I knew I had a great season last year. Kennedy Catholic, AU, and I was working, and my plan was to make it to the McDonald's America. I'm so glad God helped me. I made it by working hard, everything, so I accomplished my mission.
and I'm sure you looked at the list of players who have played in that game. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. I mean, that's a pretty incredible company to be in.
Yes, sir. That's good. To play that game is not easy. You gotta be ready, and you gotta work hard. It's not like maybe they say they just pick him out because there's no reason. You gotta shout what the reason you make that game. Like, I was working for him, and I still getting better, and I'll be working the rest of my life. So.
Out of the 24 players that are on the team, how many of you played with or against, just off the top of your head?
I played against maybe I would say 15 of them. I have 17 players of them.
So you pretty much know most of the guys.
Yes, sir.
Maceo, it's late January. The clock's telling us and the calendar's telling us you got about 2 months left in your high school career. Is that kind of surreal thinking about that all the hard work from second grade on is now down to the final 2 months?
Crazy. It feels like just yesterday, I was on the team with my brother and Sykes and Drew and all of them, and then, now, like you said, there's only like 2 months left of it. So it's a crazy feeling, but I'm kind of happy at the same time. I accomplished a lot with my teams in the past year, so we're just looking forward to doing it again this year.
I assume you're very happy with being in 6A and playing this schedule you guys have. I don't know if you guys have had really a night off yet, have you?
No, I mean, Coach always says there's never going to be a night off. Every team we play is going to be out to get us. We have a big X on our back, so we got to come in every game looking forward to, the team giving us their best.
Now, if you were playing in a playground somewhere and you were a captain, got to pick one guy first, and you had to choose between Oscar, this guy here, or Sagaba, If not getting yourself in trouble, but you had to pick first pick, who would you go with? Now tell us now, Mason.
I gotta go with Oscar. I feel like Jason was like more with Sagaba than I was, you know, because they were in the same grade. They had like a better connection. I feel like me and Oscar have a better connection than me and Sykes. I mean, me and Sykes have a good connection and all, but I feel like me and Oscar have a better connection together.
That's a good answer there. It's probably smart. Oscar, you're getting ready to go to West Virginia. I know there are fans down there are very excited. Just a thought or two about the next part of your life. What do you think about the opportunity to go to play for Coach Huggins?
So to play for Coach Huggins is something I gotta be ready now. I'm so excited I'm gonna be there next year. So I know the fans, a lot of people are going crazy because like a lot of people say we gotta go play, we gotta go play. You cannot be good play, just people talking, you gotta walk. I'm getting myself ready for next year. I gotta shout, I gotta help the team, I gotta help everybody bring together. Win the champ, that's what my goal is. I wanna bring one from Kennedy right now, this year. Next year, go work for the other one. Then if I'm gonna stay there 2-3 years, it depends what God is playing his. So just go work and help Coach against Coach Mancino. He's on the list already. We're gonna help him no matter. Coach Huggins next year, and I know he's a tough coach. Does not easy thing. So I gotta be ready for him. Then I know he's gonna make me better. He's gonna help me out with changing the game, help me out to everything. So for the next level, that's what I'm so excited for next year.
A couple other questions. I'll let you guys go. I talked to Oscar. I talked to your coach when you were a freshman last week, and he told me that you didn't play much as a freshman. That your team had, I think, 7 Division I players on it, a couple bigs. Remember how good that team was? How good were they?
That team was amazing. When I first came in the team, when I was coming up here, I thought I'm gonna be the man of the team, and like my first school when I went first. When I get there, I see they have a lot of players. They're good. They were really good. And I couldn't even get in. I thought, Coach, I can play. Like, Coach said, no, they put me like, I play most likely in JV team, my freshman year. And the varsity, if I want to coach one in varsity, is when somebody or 2-3 people get hurt. That's what a coach bring me up. Say, you can help us for a little bit. I couldn't even I come up, I didn't play that much. He was just putting me in for 2-5 minutes to come out. But I knew I'm gonna be like great basketball player. I keep it working. My first sophomore year, I came up, I played a little bit okay, but I still keep it working. That's all.
So I get this right. Oscar was on the JV team as a freshman. Maceo, you were the lock, stock, and barrel sub of the year as a freshman. So that's a big story for people out there. These two guys didn't play a lot of varsity as freshmen, so that's a pretty good motivator for a lot of kids, isn't it? Lastly, Maceo, your goals. You got 2 months left. You're going to Duquesne next year. You're climbing up the all-time list here at Canning on scoring, but you have one last goal, and it's that trophy right over your shoulders, what you're looking for.
You know, after we won the first one, you know, I was like, you know, I like this a lot. You know, I'm trying to win 3 more, you know, while I'm in high school. And that's been a dream of mine since I was young. So that's definitely the goal, you know, to win another one. And I think we have a really good chance of doing it. You know, we're in 6A this year, so it's not going to be easy or anything. But, you know, I think we have the team to do it. And we have Maceo coming back off the injury, so he'll be back soon. But other people, they've been stepping up and, you know, really, you know, taking on the challenge. Like Ike, he's had to do a lot of scoring and stuff this year. And he's been handling it real well. Skylar and Elijah and Mike coming off the bench, they've been playing well for us. So I think we definitely have the team to do it.
Well, guys, congratulations. Thanks for joining us on Behind the Lines, and best of luck.
Appreciate it.
Good job, Bob. Wow, interesting.
Yeah, it's some great stuff there. You know, the one part that I thought was funny was I asked Maceo the question about if he was on a playground and had to choose his first pick between playing with Sagaba or Oscar. He kind of laughed, but he said, you know what, he's played a lot more with Oscar. Sagaba's a great player, but it was more of his brother's teammate than his, so I thought it was a funny question.
Yeah. It's hard to pick between those two guys,
Oh, yeah.
to tell you the truth.
And there's a good chance they could be playing together next year. Sagabaw's future at West Virginia still, coming back from an injury. Still some speculation if he's going to go pro. Not really sure, but would be an incredible year for Kennedy fans to see those two guys playing together down at West Virginia.
Yeah, and I think that injury might hold them back because NBA teams might not be too sure. They might want to see him play another year.
I'd imagine there'd be some hesitation now because of that injury, but knowing Sagabaw, he's going to work very hard to try to get back to that level.
Yeah, and Kennedy's starting to round into play, getting ready for the playoffs. They're playing some tough teams and winning.
Yeah, the big story that I broke yesterday was the return of Maceo Akunzo.
Right.
He had been out all year, and you think about Kennedy, as you said, playing very well now, and did not have their 6'8" Toledo recruit all season. He's had a foot injury, but he has been cleared. He is back, and now with games scheduled for tonight with McDowell, Akron, St. Vincent's on Saturday. Some big games coming up. I think Kennedy's rounding into shape to make a run for that 4-state title.
Yeah, not sure how much Akunzo will see action early on, but I'm sure they'll just get him ready to go.
No question.
Yeah, just play part of the time. In boys action, everybody's firing up, getting ready for the playoffs. Farrell has a 2-game lead ahead of Wilmington with Middlesex, and Lakeview still in the hunt there.
Yeah, how things change. It happened last week when a couple Middlesex players got hurt during a game against Wilmington. Ricky Ladovich and Zach Long. Ladovich has come back and played some, but kind of turned that entire region around. Farrell with that big win against Middlesex it kind of put them into position now to really look like the leader of that region going down the stretch. Still some big games coming up. Farrell's got to go to Lakeview. Farrell still has to play Wilmington at home, and he still have West Middlesex. So nothing in stone yet, but no question Farrell's got the lead going down the stretch.
That's a good region. It's a lot of fun to watch those teams.
Oh, I agree. I think all 4 of those teams at the top on any given night can win, and I think when we get to the District 10 tournament, it's going to be very interesting. And one good point there is the top 4 teams in that classification in AA make the state tournament. So conceivably, all 4 of those teams, if they get to the semifinals, could make it to the PWA tournament.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Would be unbelievable.
Yeah. And how about Region 5? Hickory and Sharon battling it out at the top, both 11-1, and Grove City's right there in the hunt.
Friday night's the big showdown.
Yep.
Sharon comes back to Hickory, and I think you could argue that it's the best rivalry in Mercer County. I've argued it for a couple years now, just for the fact that they're playing now, not just in regular season games, but they've played in playoff games in multiple sports. But Hickory and Sharon Friday night's going to be packed. I think TV will be there, radio, there'll be newspaper, and they're playing for Pride and Region Championship. They're not in the same classification come playoff time like they were the last couple years, but that should be a wonderful game between these 2 programs. And you mentioned Grove City playing well. How about Sharpsville out of that region? They are not a 4A team, new coach, and they're coming off a big win against Grove City and battled Sharon down to the end last Saturday night.
Yeah, you got to give Matt Driscoll a lot of credit for what he's done down there. The kids have really bought into his style of play.
And you think about last year, they returned everybody. Matt Driscoll takes over, and from last year's team at the end of the year, I think Sharpsville has 4 starters that are not playing for a variety of reasons that were expected to be back. And Matt Driscoll has this team playing at a very high level. So no question, one of the best coaching jobs we've seen this year.
Yeah, and girls competition, really intense. Hickory knocked off Slippery Rock Monday night. That was a big win.
Huge win. No question. I think you could argue it was the biggest win in Matt Fabian's coaching career. Slippery Rock defending District 10 champs, undefeated in the region, and we're kind of cruising at this point. And I don't remember, and you've been around a little longer than I have, but a 45-point swing between the first time they played and the second time they played. Slippery Rock beat Hickory by 35 down at 3rd place, and Hickory wins by 10 on Monday. That is almost unheard of.
That is really surprising the way that turned out.
And that's coming down the stretch now because now tomorrow night Grove City plays Slippery Rock, weather permitting, of course. And if things turn out the way they could, Grove City and Slippery Rock could be tied for first place going into the weekend. And who would have thought that going into the week with a 2-game lead by Slippery Rock?
Yeah, and that's a tremendous rivalry right there, Grove City and Slippery Rock.
Oh, Chris Birch and Amber Osborne no question. Amber Osborne, of course, the coach at Slippery Rock, was a former Grove City great. So yeah, it's an interesting game, and we'll have that game on the radio for you Thursday night, weather permitting, on Sports Radio 96.7.
Yeah, and Coach Birch, of course, teaches at Slippery Rock and coaches Grove City.
That is true. It's a unique setup here between those two schools.
But I'll tell you what, both great coaches.
No question. Two of the best coaches, and I know that will be a raucous atmosphere. You know, you mentioned Hickory Sharon, but Grove City Slippery Rock, another one of those very good rivalries here in our area.
And those teams are all in Class 5A, so when they get to the playoffs, they're also going to have Warren and Harbor Creek from up north in there. Wow, that's real tough competition.
It's going to be very, very competitive there, and that's what makes it important. These games are important because the higher the seed you come out of the region, the better your setup is going to be in the District 10 tournament. If you're not a 1 or 2, you're going to be playing one of those really good teams, probably in the quarterfinals, and that could end your season.
Yeah, and how about girls Region 1? West Middlesex is the odds-on favorite, but Kennedy is coming on pretty strong.
They play Thursday night, weather permitting, and Kennedy's played better. You know, they're a very young team, and you know, they've taken their lumps. They've played some very good competition. Got hammered by Middlesex earlier this year. I think it was also by 30-some points. So, you know, I'm sure there will be some bulletin board material for Coach Magestro. But Middlesex playing very well. You saw them play Greenville. This is a Middlesex team that's got some youth, size, some skill. They're a really well-rounded squad. And considering they graduated 2,000-point scorers from last year, kudos to Mike Williams for putting this team back in the position they are.
Yeah, you mentioned Greenville. They're dominating that Region 4. I mean, they played Lakeview, who was a second-place team, last night. They won by 30 points. I mean, it wasn't even a contest.
And, you know, I think that region is another example of you never know. You know, we talk about playoffs and records and whatever, but you look at Sharpsville. They lose their college basketball player in Jillian Fisher for the season with an injury. And, you know, if she's back with what they had returning, there's a really good chance Sharpsville would have been in the thick of things and could have contended for that region title. But, you know, one injury here, and unfortunately it happens, has changed kind of that whole direction of that region.
Yeah, and I had a chance to talk to Jillian the other night at the Greenville game, and she still has the big long brace on her leg, and she said it's going to be like 9 more months before she's fully recovered from that.
Yeah, it's sad, and it's one of those deals we've seen a lot, unfortunately, at this level. Players get hurt, players come back, some players don't, and it's just the nature of sports.
Yeah. Now Greenville takes on Cambridge Springs Saturday. That'll be an interesting game.
Very interesting.
They're both leading their regions.
Should be a very, very interesting game, and you know, as we get closer, it's unbelievable. We're only a little over 2 weeks away from the playoffs in basketball, as the round of 16 games will begin on the 15th and 16th of February. So it's not that far away. There's some teams that still have 6 or 7 games left.
Right.
And they're going to have 2 weeks to get them in. I don't know how they're going to do it.
And they might cancel a few more tonight and Thursday.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
How about wrestling?
It's getting underway here. The playoffs start this week.
The
Dual Meet
District 10 tools start, and a lot of teams now in this 16-team bracket. I assume, as a longtime wrestling fan and media guy, you're not really a big fan of the 16-team bracket.
No, I'm not. But I mean, it's a good experience for somebody. If you have a young team, it's a good experience for some of these younger guys even to get in the playoffs, even if you're going to lose, because you know it gives them a little bit of chance to see what it's like, maybe for the next couple years as they get older. But when you have a team like Reynolds in there, you know they have a bye first round because whoever had to wrestle them opted out. Which is
smart move there. Yeah,
understandable.
Mercer made it. Grove City's in it. Greenville and Slippery Rock will wrestle against each other. So yeah, we have some Mercer County teams that are around, but you have to believe Reynolds will be the clear favorite. But it's interesting that Reynolds and Greenville on the same side of the bracket,
right?
Because of that forfeit. Is that correct?
Yes. When they had to forfeit that match, you know, the Conneaut area, that threw Conneaut on the opposite side of Reynolds.
So we may see Reynolds and Greenville in the semifinals. The only consolation here is the top 3 teams make it out into the state tournament. So if Greenville, who would be the big underdog, wouldn't make it through to the finals, they still have a chance to move on.
And Union City's been wrestling well. I think that's one of the teams to watch as we go into this tournament.
And am I correct that they're hosting some of this at Sharon?
Yes.
Some of the team stuff?
Saturday.
Okay. So
the whole thing Saturday. The quarterfinals are 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. Semifinals are 3 o'clock. And then the finals and the consolation final on 2 mats will be wrestled at 5 o'clock.
That's great. So the home of District 10 Wrestling is Sharon Tiger Gymnasium. no better venue.
No better venue.
No
because,
better venue.
You know, for fans that need to take a break and don't want to maybe watch all the matches, there's a cafeteria right there. They go out and sit in the cafeteria, talk, get something to eat, come back in. You know, it's the best place around to hold a wrestling tournament. No doubt about it.
Only challenge is the parking has lost a lot of spots since they put the new the junior high school in, but still, people find their way, and it's great for wrestling fans. There's no question. So Saturday will be the place to be for high school wrestling here in Mercer County.
And the one-way road on East State Street doesn't help either.
That's another story for another day. Yes.
Yeah, that's bad. I'll tell you what. Join us next week when we have updates on all these games coming up in the playoffs, who's moving on in wrestling. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks for showing up.